Wow!
Buenos dias, buenos dias.
Wow! Buenos dias! I'm amped up today, man. I don't know
What?
why.
Really?
Welcome to Coffee.
Café y cripto.
Oh,
Bienvenidos.
you have like a nice, cool steam coming off yours. Yeah, welcome to Crypto and Coffee, where we talk about crypto and we drink coffee and hang out and have a good morning and set the day off right and inform ourselves to how to not get played. So I am the Data Lord. This is Jaime, and we do DCTV stuff, and we also build in this crypto space. So we're not just talking heads on the internet. We're actually people who are building and have been building and will be building in this space. So we're speaking from a lot of different experiences, and
Yes.
hopefully that is useful to people who are green beans and have good questions and whatnot. So we are really active in the comments. So please,
Yes.
any question you have, any idea you have, also, if you just want to say, hey, good morning, that was cool, shout outs in the comments, please. And so we do a little thing here called roll call. And in roll call,
Yeah.
you say good morning in the chat, and we just salute you. So
Good morning.
I want to say good morning, Boston. I see you, brother.
Dirty Shoveler.
Yeah. Indo.
Indo Crypto.
Good morning, brother.
Good morning. Lexa.
What's up? What's up? You didn't realize what we were builders in space, or that his name was Jaime?
Bro, you had to cross the line. But yes,
joke.
So everyone knows, we actually make decisions based on what we share with you ourselves. So a lot of times we've even made decisions, and we're sharing from our experience the direction we're headed. So we want you to know we are full retard in the crypto space. Like, we are all the way in, nonstop, fully committed to it, because we understand the industry and we're building towards it. So we are no slouches in here. We've actually, not out of arrogance, but out of humility, we've made our mistakes. So we want to share that knowledge with you, with all of our viewers in our community. So welcome to Hump Day.
Welcome. Also, this was really expensive. Getting this huge flying coffee behind me, that was really expensive. I had to find some consultants from Ottawa in order to install that. So pretty interesting. So anyways, we have a view of the markets. We're going to take a look. We're going to take a look at this. So this is Bitcoin. This is my Bitcoin chart. Jaime is certainly going to go over his, but Jaime's is going to be even more technical than this. I'm just showing you like sort of the levels I'm looking at while I'm making trades right now. So
beautiful.
Each one of these candles is a day. We saw, this is this was Luna right here. Yeah.
Yes. That was Luna.
Yeah, so Luna, took a big old steaming pile, and we all ate it. So, but we found a bottom here. So this 18.5 blue line, that's kind of our supporty support, and even below that we have 15.5. So we did bounce on that 3 times, I think.
And if we do retrace, so on that point that you're showing, the Luna is the actual next resistance, the next ceiling. So if we do break where we're at currently, which is a death cross, which we'll see in a second, the details, that Luna point is the actual next barrier. And it's a heavy barrier, just so you're aware of this. And on the levels that you've set, Brandon, precisely those are the levels I have buys set at. So if we actually reverse in it and come down, I have buys at those points, because in my own thesis, do your own research, everyone. We are forming the bottom at this very moment, which should have a retrace in it. I'll be transparent. I've Hail Mary orders at the 9,200 levels, but I am now in the point where I'm entering slowly but surely as we move forward.
Exactly. So you can see this level that I called out, this guy right here. We wicked on it to start it off, but people these days, they are just trying to print on Wix. I'm telling you. And just to define terms, printing is when a bear, someone, I'm sorry, not a bear, freaking animals, man. A whale, like a traditional investor, what they'll do, because they have a lot of cash and a lot of crypto, is they'll see these lines in the charts and they'll intentionally buy from the left hand to the right hand and vice versa in order to create more volume on specific levels. And they do that in order to make sure that traders have more confidence in order to throw more money in because they can kind of manipulate the market. So I'm not defending that's the case, but I'm just telling you I've seen that happen. I've talked
Precisely.
to some of the people who do that kind of stuff, and I'm telling you that's a thing. So that's called printing. And a lot of times they'll see like, hey, there's a lot of buy orders up here. What if we cause the price to spike, knock all those out? People will get, full in and full tilt, and they'll buy even higher. And then I can sell these bags I have over here and wait for them to go even lower to scoop. So they do that just to kind of create higher highs and lower lows. So, anywho, so you can see Bitcoin kind of got rejected on that, 25K line I pointed out. We're coming down from that. And so I don't know if there's too many tree branches in this to actually fall on. Like, yeah, I suppose we have, this little head and shoulders thing that's here. Like, kind of. I'm not confident these are actually strong levels, though.
Correct. That's the question: is how strong is it? But yes, it is a where you should see a pause on the way down. Price
Yeah.
action is never straight up, never straight down. There's floors and steps you tumble in or step up on.
Yeah. But really this like 1, 2, 3 pattern we have here, I think we have some tree branches there. The question is, can they hold the human weight? I don't know.
Right.
It's kind of like you see Dennis the Menace crawl up in the tree and he just falls through. Well, it's kind of like that. But anyways, that is my view on Bitcoin. I want to take a look at the general markets before Jaime gives us the deep and nerdy. That's what she likes. So looking at Bitcoin, we're up for the week, but we're kind of just crab walking like we saw. Ethereum, same thing, down 1.5. BNB actually kind of recovered after the BUSD swap out when Paxos was like, "Yo, we're not rug pulling anybody. We're just not going to keep doing this." So,
and February
we
21st, which was yesterday, was the moment they agreed that they would stop minting BUSD.
Right. Yep. And people, for the most part, have moved over to USDC or USDT now. So, Ripple, people are still kind of bullish on the news cycles for Ripple. That's why we see it as green today. Polygon is retracing. We got a little ahead of ourselves with that 8.9%, just with the news hype. So that's what that's about. And so, yep, we're crab walking on the markets today. It's not a big deal. Not a lot of highs, not a lot of lows. Keep calm and hodl on through this. You don't got to get hot and bothered with day trading. So, and then Jaime, if you would
Sure.
give us the nitty gritty on Bitcoin.
Perfect. I'll let you. It won't allow me to bring my.
understand.
There you go.
Wow, the future's now.
There you go. So, as we all know, Bitcoin is usually the tide that rises and lowers all ships. So, in this case, we had been looking at this level, that this what's called the death cross, and I'll repeat it for anyone that may see this later and is new to trading. This 200 moving average is a very important level on the weekly, where Bitcoin had never dropped below in the past. I mean, it has wick below, but not full candles below it. So what does that mean? It means that this becomes now a ceiling that we must break through. On top of that, we have the 50 weekly moving average coming down and crossing into it. This is known as a death cross. However ominous it sounds, it doesn't mean that we're done, we're doomed. No, it just means that it, and usually it represents, if you look at Investopedia and the definition, when you're nearing a market bottom, you will see death crosses occur. So it's almost like a heads up. It's a what's it called? trailing indicator. So it's
Mhm.
all these are moving averages. So price action will move ahead of what we're seeing here. So
Mhm.
just keep that in mind. It's not doom and gloom, but you can see the reaction now on price action, meaning Bitcoin came up to it, got close to it, and then rallied right into that point, which is around 25,200, and more recently 25,000, yeah, 259. So around that range. And now we're seeing a slight retrace. The big question is, what is it going to do? What do we expect? Well, to see an answer for this, or understand a better answer, I'm going to move us to the 3-day. Once again, 3-day is the lowest I look for entries and exits, just because it's harder to fake out than on the daily. Although the daily is the standard everyone looks at, but on the 3-day, I feel there's better indication. So in this case, there's been a rising channel. Usually, when you see a run up like this, you expect what's called a bull flag, where price should be coming down after a run up like this to then continue moving forward. Instead, we're seeing this ascending uh, trend line where we fell out of, tested the support of the FTX collapse, and ran right back into it. But if you notice, we're seeing a little struggle to reach the top. The big question is, and which is what we're going to watch for the next day. So by tomorrow evening, we will see if this stayed within this rising channel or fell below. If it falls below, you can bet your money that we will start seeing a descent down, either to retest the FTX breakdown level or come down to the 50 moving average, which is around 19,500. And I actually have an alarm there because that's one of my purchase points. I don't know what will occur down below, but that's what I'm looking at. And this is my own experience, my own. So please, you make your own decisions, do your own research. But here's where we're at. Now, what is the trend? Why do I feel we will see a lower? It will cross below. Is if I zoom in now on the daily, here's what we're seeing on the daily. We're seeing it rise despite this dip down here to test the bottom and come back up. You see the price action rising overall. But look at down here. This is the RSI, which is the holy cow, a really stupid
Really
indicator.
stupid indicator.
Yeah, that Don Frank calls.
Really
But
stupid.
it stands for relative strength index. And what that means is it's like when you're in a rocket, you feel that impulse like coming up here, and you see that impulse, the strength of it coming up. You feel it. But once you start getting to a certain level where you're feeling not that much impulse, where you're starting to see a hesitation, that's when you realize, okay, maybe I don't have enough fuel to continue upwards. Well,
Mhm.
the fact that you see the price action rising, the price still rising in this channel, yet if you look at these are bearish divergences, but also the relative strengthening has been coming down. Here it's rising, this one's coming down. This is the red flag for me where we're running out of fuel or strength. So what naturally should happen is Bitcoin should retrace, regain its strength, and then make a good push to the top. So that's what I'm waiting for. And the big question is, I don't know where that bottom is, but I can take certain guesses. One guess is, of course, the FTX breakdown, but I don't have a buy at that point. I believe the 200 moving average on the daily is a safe location to purchase, which is also very close to my alarm at the 19,500. So 19,500 to 19,700 is one of my first purchase points where I have buys to begin. So I broke up the capital I have allocated. Of course, you only use capital you can afford to lose, just straight up. And I broke it down into 6 sections. That's my first entry at that point. And from there on, I have a few others all the way down to Hail Mary purchases, which honestly, I don't believe it'll hit. But if it does, yoo-hoo, we're good. So that's where we're at now. We're going to be watching this. If today closes below this bottom line, then you can bet your bottom dollar we should see further pull down. Otherwise, it'll rise again, and the next step would be to hit the top of this channel again, which is around 25,800 at this moment.
Como se dice retrace?
Huh. You know what? Let me use a. Holy shit! You had to ask that, didn't you?
That's good. Yeah, we're launching a Spanish DCTV as well.
Yes. And by the way, Data Lord is our producer in both languages. Productor.
I'm really crap at Spanish, but I'm trying to learn it. So I care about the people. I care about the people.
And I think the Spanish community is watching just to find out what the hell this guy's going to say at the end of it. Because he says some crazy, crazy stuff. And by the way, I just saw Wendell and Gilliam is in. Good morning.
Yeah.
And
a little bit of salute situation. So we appreciate this community so much. So I just want to show respect where respect is due from the top. Boss Don, what's up?
Good morning, Boss Don.
Indo, what's up?
Lexa,
what's up? What's up? Indo, again, I love you. Wendell is just bossy. What's up, girl? Gundy, yo.
Good morning.
Gundy's the OG. Guys? Gundy's the OG. Yeah. So, again, this is the last class of crypto early adopters. So, glad you're here. Yeah, everyone else is not going to have the same street cred. So, but
we'll do something about that, guys. So we have some news coming up of the building we're doing, but we'll share it when it's the right time to do it.
I hate that so much. I hate when there's like stuff like you want to talk about. You're like, it's really not responsible to. I have to wait till it's official. Whatever.
Agreed. Bradley, good morning. I just saw you pop in.
Oh, what's up, boy?
Good morning.
I see you, Bradley. What's up?
And Lexa, good call.
He sold you Doge.
Good call. No. In looking at it from a price action,
I agree.
You did the right thing. The idea is not hodl necessarily when it comes to things that are not Bitcoin, but yes, take profits. If you had Doge from this recent bottom to this point where it's at, you did the right thing, Lexa. Lock in profits because there's always a new opportunity to enter.
Yeah.
And so well done.
Yeah, when you're trading like altcoins, make sure you just have like a real strong entry point. Like you're confident. You have multiple indicators to say like this is a good place for me to get into a position, and really think of it in that way. Think of it as I'm getting into a position that I'm intending to have an exit point on my position.
Yes.
I mean, there's a point that
have a plan.
A few key levels I'm intending to take profits at, and I'm okay holding as long as it takes to get there.
Yes.
Once I'm in that position, and that's why you have to be just confident that position's a solid one.
100%. And the moment you make the decision, make peace with it. And keep a log if you can. So meaning, okay, here's my expectation. Here's where I think it's going to go. I'll take profits at this point, and then I'll leave a little gravy for Hail Marys if anything goes crazy, type thing. Yeah. But then if it doesn't work as you expected, write down where you feel your analysis was off and learn from it. And that's the only way any of us have learned these is by those mistakes. The idea is not to trip over the same mistake every time. So make peace with the decision and have a plan. If you're just buying because you feel it's the bottom, it's a bit risky. So learn. We're here to share, ask the questions, and there's very good traders. Don Fran is one of them. Gareth Soloway. Others I've followed in the past is Steve from Crypto Crew and a few others. So there's people who look at the data and remove emotions. I think that's
Magic
the key.
Poop Cannon. It sounds like a joke, but he's actually like an OG trader.
Yeah.
Oh man. So shall we read the news? We got some news today. Let's get into that, huh? And I got this view all stupid, so my lo siento, huh?
Oh no, I missed this news.
Yeah. So Solana Spaces will close New York and Miami stores 7 months after opening.
Oof.
So real quick, a little comment on this. This space is so highly experimental
It is, yes.
that like you just try stuff and like sometimes you did the right thing, but the timing was wrong, and you had no way of knowing the timing was wrong, and no way of being able to undo what you did once you put it into motion. So I think this specific space has people who have un they have irregular tolerances for risk. And the thing is, you just make sure that any risk you take, you can afford to take. And if it doesn't pan out, you're not dead in the water.
Precisely.
And so, like, I think everyone kind of needs to think of things that way. And as you're gonna do with the poop jokes, I love it. Sorry, I can't. I have ADHD, and that's a poop joke, so I'm gonna get my attention real
It's
quick.
shiny. Even though it's brown, it's shiny to this guy.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think that's the way you should look at this space, though. You should like make sure you have your job that you can pay all your normal bills with, and if you need to make some sort of side hustle or something in order to get enough cash to kind of create like a ball of money to play with and find some, you know, experiment you want to get into, like that's really how you learn quickly. And if it doesn't pan out, you just have to be able to afford it and be able to go back and hustle, get another ball to experiment. But occasionally one of your experiments works out, and then you have a lot of fuel for other experiments. And so that's what like almost everybody I've ever met in this space, that's almost all of their stories.
Yes.
Either
And
that
every
or they just
success-
have an IT job or something that pays really well, and they just had some expendable income that they were able to dabble in the space as well with that.
every successful soul I've ever met that I respect has gone through losses. You need these losses to mature yourself and start being where it makes you, it teaches you to identify bullshit versus real, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. Everyone just keep going. Don't burn all your eggs in one basket, of course, and experiment. And
Who
we're
burns
here to
eggs in
share.
baskets, Jaime? Weird.
Hey
He
man,
means
I
don't
was
put them. He's
Hey,
bilingual. Give him a break, huh?
yeah, and we use that expression. Huh?
Yeah, only invest with fiat. You don't care if it burns up in a speculative asset yet.
Precisely.
And the other thing too is like know when to cut your losses. Like you don't have to go to zero. Like something that's like,
Yes.
nope, we got confirmation. That's enough information for me to know that that wasn't something that I want to do again.
Correct.
And that's
And
okay.
you can actually take the losses and find the next entry. And it doesn't have to be in the same asset. You can choose a different one.
Bradley, I'll give you a makeup. What's up, Bradley B? I see you.
Good morning, Brad.
Oh, we got dad for days. So yeah, this whole Solana Spaces thing, basically they had these like places you could actually physically go.
Like an Apple
with-
store.
Yeah, but with Solana NFTs and whatnot. So really cool idea. I think it's gonna work at
It
some
was.
point, but the question is simply just like, is this timing right? Are people
Mhm.
at the point where they trust NFTs to stick around long term and they don't see
Yep.
them as gimmicks? Also, Solana had FUD happening around them about the
FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried.
Salmon Bankman Fried.
Yeah, scamming
Salmon.
Bankman-Fried.
Yeah, scam Bankman Fried.
That's right. So in this instance, they were building and have been building correctly this entire time. They just had the wrong investor or the wrong name behind them, and that's what really cost them this time. But as long as they continue building, I see it as a viable firm towards the future. Now, keep in mind though, they are not fully decentralized. It's more of a
distributed system.
So keep that in mind when you're investing.
Gundy, that's so funny. Gundy says, maybe I ride to zero just to spite myself for making poor decisions. Yeah, man, I'm feeling that. Yeah. We got to start calling him Scam Bankman Fried. I think that Scam Spankman. That's even better. We got puns for days over here, man. Come on now. So anyway, so let's look at the news. ADHD again. I told you it's my superpower, but I also just get off on jokes. So Norby said the experiment was part of a plan to onboard more people onto Solana, but the stores didn't bring in as many users as they had initially hoped. Solana Spaces will close down its 2 Solana-themed community-oriented retail stores in New York City and Miami at the end of the month, as the physical stores didn't onboard as many users as initially anticipated. Solana Spaces tweeted the news on February 21st, sharing a note from founder Vibhu Norby explaining the reasons behind the store shutdowns. The following is a note from our founder Vibhu. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but shout outs to at Vibhu. Dear Solana Spaces community, we've made the difficult decision to sunset our stores in NYC and Miami by the end of February, and to pivot our Solana onboarding efforts into digital products like Drip, our free NFT, with Thing. So Norby, who founded Solana Spaces in early 2022, explained that the company reached an inflection point with the stores, prompting them to shift its investment focus to Drip, the firm's new non-fungible token artwork airdrop platform. Okay, I see you. While our stores onboard between 500 and 1,000 people per week, Drip onboards that same quantity every day. So that's just a math problem, right? Norby said, explaining the decision to shift its investment focus. So literally, like, what they were able to accomplish in a week with the physical brick and mortars, they were doing that every day with this NFT airdrop art platform. Wow. So I mean, let's look at this scientifically, right? Like, if we are looking to do our own experiments and we see someone else already has like a precedent, we can save ourselves a lot of money and just say, hey, apparently that's the case. People, there's probably some markets, probably baby boomers or people who aren't as deep on internet communities, who would be better reached from physical brick and mortar. But Gen X, Millennial, Gen Z, Gen A, like, they're not easily accessed at brick and mortar because they don't even leave their houses. They're all pasty and white and come out with like the imprint of an Apple phone on their hand, like, just become creatures. So that's us, I guess. So how interesting is this though? Like you'd think maybe a brick and mortar would be hype and actually bring the community together, but my guess is like, in the crypto space, if you don't have people who are builders, you typically don't get people who are getting excited about the tech and meeting up in person. As opposed to if you do have builders, they're typically going to meet up at hackathons, like Ethereum Denver. This is going on this week. And
give a little history on that group. Like, I didn't know a lot of the Ethereum.
Oh yeah. There's so CU Boulder in Colorado just had a ton of people in the crypto space come from them, like Charles Hoskinson from he used to be an ETH guy, and he started Cardano. Like, he's from there. And there's just a lot of other people who are in the general ETH community who were around the CU Boulder and also the Denver campus too. And apparently there's just like a lot of cryptography programs that were crushing it right around when cryptocurrency was first popping up. And so they're like, yo, we have a real world use case that is actually kind of hip and trendy with our mathematics and cryptography. So maybe we should jump on that. So, we have like in the Denver area, there's a lot of groups that meet up and do hackathons and build-a-thons, and they showcase the things they've built, and they kind of give awards, that kind of thing. And it's this like really tight-knit community of people who are all kind of collaborating and teaching and learning. So I think that's going to become more and more common, and I'd like to see us really focus on incubating that in our different parts of the world. So that's something just so you know, I'm looking at maybe in the next year or so really fostering, but you only have so many hours in a day. Am I right?
Yes, and we're building so much right now too.
And I don't do cocaine, so I can't do more work.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. What's up here? So I'm sorry. Not to get out of order. Salty Prepper.
Salty Prepper.
Solana had a bunch of hacks.
They did, and they had the funding to recover from it. They had hacks, but they also had failures on their chain. Yeah. but they had great funding at the time, which was Scam Spankman Fried, as Indo Crypto
Nice.
corrected us. Well done, Indo Crypto. So
Yeah.
yes, they did have those scenarios, but they had good backing at the time, so they recovered quickly. Now, once Spankman Fried came out of the whole scam he did, the fraud he did, then that's where now they have been suffering. But they have been continuing to build despite this situation. So they just got to watch them. As long as they continue building in the right direction, I think we should be good.
Agreed. So, let's see. You were also asking, ¿dónde está? Yeah, hopefully
Yeah.
they won't revoke bail due to his recent activities on VPN. Yeah, I know. Sponsored by NordVPN.
Yeah, that means he got cut. So I wonder how they caught him.
F cocaine, lick frogs' bones. You shouldn't. You should leave the animals alone. Yeah, see you buffs. Yeah. So, am I going to the event? That's a good question. I intend to pop up for a few days of the event and just interview some people. We'll see. Like, I have like 8 inches of snow outside, so like it's just that time of year. So, and I live like weirdly in the mountains, so who knows? Who knows? I intend to show up for part of it at least. What I don't want to do is drive an hour or so to Denver every day and then back. When I have other stuff I have to do too. So
yeah, I know.
You understand.
I'm aware
You
of your
understand.
deadline, sir, and
You
workload.
understand.
And by the
So-
way, Gundy, sorry,
Yo.
I just saw him say Nord boo, they track. What alternative to Nord have you found? Just out of
OpenVPN.
curiosity. OpenVPN?
Yeah,
Yes.
OpenVPN. You actually host your own like VPN server and just like a Linode.
So you have to do you have to have technical skills to do
Yeah.
that? Got it. Okay. But how
You
about
do, but
someone
you can.
Okay.
You can do that, and then you track you.
Yeah. I knew I was there. I knew
Yeah, I know. What are you trying to say?
VPNs, I think.
Not some mainstream ones do. Oh yeah. I totally have a green bean answer. So Proton Mail. Proton has a Proton VPN that's free, and then if you want to have even
nice.
more, you can get a paid version of Proton VPN. So yeah,
Nice.
That's what I'd recommend. It's for free if you want it.
And Proton are in Switzerland, I think. They're based out of Switzerland.
They're genuinely secure. They're cool. So anyways, we're reading the news again. I forgot the decision to close the shops located in Hudson Yard neighborhood of Manhattan and Winewood. Those are nice areas.
Wynwood,
of Miami. Yeah, Wynwood. Was made a few weeks ago, and they will sunset at the end of February. The ambitious initiative was relatively short-lived, and the 2 stores have only officially opened in late July and August in New York and Miami, respectively. Norby said the experiment, and see how he's thinking about this? He sees it as an experiment.
Yes.
He doesn't see it
Which
as
is the right.
He saw it as an experiment with an outcome.
Yep.
It was a part of a broader plan to onboard more people into the Solana and Web3 ecosystem. Nice work. Our endowed mission from day one was to experiment with new and disruptive models to bring people to Web3 and to serve the community on behalf of the Solana Foundation. As I told people often, as awesome as the stores were, if we found a more efficient way to bring people into Solana, we would throw our efforts at that, he added. But as he has since realized, the firm's efforts may achieve better results in the digital realm with Drip. The Solana-themed stores offered customers the opportunity to partake in things from in-person wall onboarding tutorials, earning rewards, merchandise shopping, and attending events. Okay, cool. So they got all kinds of things. It's not just getting people into wallets and whatnot. They also had
merchandise. And NFTs. That looks a nice board back there. So
yeah,
it's making the crypto sphere Web3 real to people. These this is a concept we were gunning for, and it's in our roadmap undeclared at the moment, but it's in our roadmap to have physical presence at some point, because that's the only way people can see, touch, feel, and realize this is a real technology that will change the world. So it's a good step. It's still an experiment. It was
Yeah.
high risk, but it was a good step nonetheless. And I'm sure we will come back to it again at some point.
Yeah, and yeah, you're asking here, so Solana.
Yes.
I prefer my blockchains decentralized. So
Salty. So I salute
so
your
I
statement.
see what you're saying, and just to be like a clinical technical nerd about it, we don't know if they're actually a centralized or a decentralized system. We know that they are a distributed system. We know they're proof of stake, and we know that there's a lot of money behind the system.
Yes.
And so we speculate that it is in part centralized, but we don't know to what degree. Okay. That being said, I think we have some platforms, we have high degrees of certainty due to their open source nature that they are properly decentralized. So I think that there's probably better things we can build on in the space. But that being said, they are a Web3 platform in that you do have the capacity to hold your private keys. You are in custody. The question is simply, is there any centralized ability for them to override your private keys? I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't think there is. I hope there isn't. But
And that's the
we shouldn't
dangers.
build on things we hope. Does that make sense?
Precisely. And I had, when they launched, I'd done my research with Solana, and they did have, it was highly centralized because they managed all of their servers, all the nodes themselves. It was internal to the company. They, of course, on the roadmap, they have that they're going to move to decentralized,
Yeah,
but at this moment, it is highly centralized.
got it.
And that's the risk with centralization, like Brandon mentioned, is they can yank things or override things that decentralization does not allow.
Yeah, I mean that being said too, their goal, because these are Silicon Valley cats, their
Mhm.
goal is software developer kit. Their
Correct.
goal is how can we make tools that are actually good so developers can learn our stack, get used to building things in our stack, and that will increase the value and adoption of our stack. And I have to agree with that line of thinking that like if you don't have anyone developing on your platform, it doesn't matter how secure it is, you're securing nothing.
Mhm.
Nothing is inside of it, right? like if you, for example, if you have a cardboard box with a homeless guy's turd in it, but you pay $1 million for armed security detail to make sure no one touches it, like yeah, it's very very secure, but there's nothing valuable inside of it, right? Like, so I think you can think of it in those terms of like transient
Yeah.
poop.
You got issues, brother.
I know.
So answering, so answering Indo Crypto's statement, he's still curious what will happen with Helium with the move to Solana. I
It's
think,
on Solana already, bud.
yeah, it is. So he wants to know what our thoughts
Mm.
are on that. And I think the strategy is fine. The challenge is, as a blockchain, they've made the wrong moves. They shit the bed in terms of how they reward the people who are deploying there. So for anyone who's not familiar with Helium, they pretty much began and became a successful, and it truly became a unicorn in terms of the investment that they had. Andreessen Horowitz, I think, was one
Mm.
of their investors at around $12, and then it shot up to like 60 something dollars just a month to 2 months after that, a couple of years ago or a year ago. So their call to fame, or their purpose, was to create a network for Internet of Things, IoT devices. So if you had scooters, and you could use this LoRaWAN frequency to report back of where your location was. So it was to verify where IoT devices were. And their model initially was brilliant. They began to incentivize the creation and deployment of the network. Their mistake was, now their move pretty much moded the early adopters, the ones that were deployed early, and de-incentivize by their tokenomics the people, the new ones coming in to deploy, to continue deploying the network. So it reversed things. So they shit the bed in that sense, and that's my personal opinion in what they've done. Hopefully they can see the light and re-incentivize the deployment of the network, which is their core competency, and not go like on other projects. And yes, there it is.
Yeah. So you were asking about helium. So just to give you an understanding, if we go to like weak view, you can see what happened, right? This is what Jaime was talking about. You had people kind of get in like, yeah, I get the idea. We'll experiment with it. And then you had some companies pop up. There was a bunch of them that started actually making these hotspots they required, right? They were making these network devices that could work over the LoRaWAN frequency, which is 915 megahertz. And the cool thing with LoRaWAN is it stands for long range WAN. So it works over long distances with really low power, but it also has low data rate. So there's some use cases it's great for. Internet of Things, for example. Let's say I have a temperature sensor or a humidity sensor or a motion detector, like just on off type information. It's not, or maybe a GPS tracker where I have like X and Y and that's it. Like I literally just have this tiny little bit of data. That's it. And what's cool is some of these devices only need to charge once every 6 months. So that's actually pretty impressive. And for agriculture, there's some use cases where you'd want some devices like that, where you don't want to run a power line out there. You don't want to have some sophisticated, solar setup in order to have to keep it powered. You could just kind of have one guy with a golf cart go out there, every few months and charge it or whatever.
It used 5 watts of power, which was very low power.
Well, the routers did. The actual like sensors used like millivolts, like they were really tiny.
Yes.
And so the whole idea here is like they were trying to take these Internet of Things devices and make sure that they had their data stored on a blockchain. And the whole idea of it being stored on a blockchain is people couldn't fudge the numbers there. And then you could integrate that in with like their software developer kit into Amazon Web Services or something else, and you could build applications on it. So I had built some applications with the whole stack as proof of concepts. And what I found is the form factors of the actual hardware was kind of the bottleneck for it. But concerning mining and token economics, these hotspots that you'd have would basically just connect this long range WAN, with these Internet of Things devices, and it would relay that information onto the blockchain over your internet connection, right? And so they actually were kind of high throughput because they were doing two things. One, they were hosting like a full ledger or a part ledger of the blockchain on your device, and two, they were transmitting the data packets from verifying other hotspots or where they say they were. They could like basically chirp out and say, "Hey, I'm here." And he'll be like, "Hey, I heard him say he's nearby." And
proof of coverage.
Their whole thing is proof of coverage, right? And so it's a cool idea. I think where they really made a big mistake though was one, they didn't have the hardware companies lined up to move as fast as the excitement back. Granted, COVID-19 chopped up their supply chain as soon as they really started getting momentum like that. That was really painful. If you look at this, like right when they got started, that was August of 2020. Oof. So COVID-19 hit and they were just kind of like, what are we going to do?
But they rose. And we were in full deployment. Like I actually participated in this whole network. And then decided to exit once I started seeing what they were doing, the corporate decisions they were making.
Yeah.
But so the concept was brilliant.
It's real world. It's unique. You're making good, cryptocurrency, giving proof of coverage, but at some point, they couldn't move fast enough to stop gamification, to actually secure their network properly, and they also weren't bringing in enough money because people weren't making sensors people actually wanted to use on this network. And so because that happened, people really started to kind of lose steam on the platform, and investors were like, is there really a use case here that we can build tools on, or is this sort of just a
land grab?
Tinker toy. it's just a tinker toy set for nerds to play with, and that's kind of what it turned out to be for most use cases. Like this wasn't a commercial use case. I was trying to, just for example, I was trying to make a dog GPS tracking collar, but
I
in order
remember.
to work with chip manufacturers, in order to get the form factor right, um, and also in order to get the data to update regularly enough that it's actually useful, that was really challenging. And so it ended up just being a flop because the barrier to entry was too high to work with hardware manufacturers to get devices that actually would work like you'd want it to. So too bad, so sad. And so they pivoted. They were like, yo, we're going to stop paying very much to the people with these hotspots already deployed. Instead,
Yes.
we're going to move to a mesh 5G network, and we'll have a different token for that. And
Yep.
so they have these devices that can connect to your internet, and they turn your internet, whether it's fiber or cable or whatever, into a 5G cell phone tower that works on a mesh network. And so you get paid for that. And that's kind of how they run now. So there's a bunch of companies that actually are producing those types of devices. The only question is, do you want to have a 5G tower at your house? I know a lot
Right.
of people have questions about that, right?
And a competitor emerged, which was Pollen Network, during that same time. And I literally saw tons of the OGs from Helium start moving and deploying
Yep.
the Pollen Network instead of this one, just because they saw their decisions.
Yeah. So your Indo's question further, can Helium Tech help Solana Network at all, aside from just being listed as a token? That's a good question. I think that as someone who's actually trying to build products on Helium, they did have a scaling issue, and it was smart of them to move to a blockchain that
Yes.
could scale better.
Yep.
Um,
And
I
now
don't
they
know if
just
Solana was the right choice, but they made deals, and that's what they chose to do, and it is what it is. So,
and they're in the same town. They're in San Francisco, both companies, so it
yeah.
kind of makes sense. And now instead of having an internal team developing their blockchain, they rely on Solana to do the development. They just apply whatever business rules they want. So
Yeah.
it saves them resources if you look
That's
at
what
it
they
from a
should have done in the
business
first
standpoint.
place, because they're not
Mhm.
particularly good at the blockchain part of it.
Right.
And in my opinion, I really wish they would have just made like another Helium and made that more profitable. So this other one would just kind of fizzle out, but instead they just kind of slid it over. And
Mhm.
I was helping some people move data
Yep.
and money from the old network to the new one, and it was clunky. Like it didn't work. There were months where things according to all the documentation should have done something, and they weren't following what the documentation was saying. So just as an example, like I mean, how often have you had to move from
One
data
blockchain.
sets from blockchain to blockchain, right? Like
Yeah.
who's migrated things from blockchain to blockchain? Like that's not
Yeah.
a common
Right.
scenario.
But
So,
doing it, you realize how difficult or how well or how bad it's been developed, by living through that.
so anyways, I want to get into our most important story for the day. Thanks for all those questions, though. And please, if
Yes.
you have other questions we didn't answer, tell us in Discord. We'll answer them. We will. So, Mastercard, huh? Interesting.
Yes.
Mastercard to allow crypto payments in Web3 via USDC settlements. Interesting. So,
Yes.
the Mastercard immersive partnership uses decentralized protocols to settle real-time cryptocurrency transactions on outlets accepting Mastercard payments online. A partnership between Web3 payment protocol Immersive and payment giant Mastercard will allow users to make crypto payments on digital, physical, and metaverse worlds. That's huge.
Yes.
Once the transaction is successful from the user's end, USD coin tokens, a US dollar backed stable coin issued by Circle, and that's
Yep.
a trusted
Which is
company,
Goldman Sachs. Yeah, it's a big one.
Goldman Sachs,
Yep.
will get converted to fiat and be used to settle transactions on Mastercard network. Hold up, what? Carbon footprint though. Oh
Yeah,
no, the world.
they've
No.
done Gundy, I know what report you're referring to. Because they're blaming crypto to be a huge carbon footprint, but then they pulled up what Mastercard does. It's like, all right, bitch. Shut up.
Well, and
Don't
this
throw
is the
glass.
we're throwing mud. This is mudslinging.
Yeah.
It's if you fall for stuff like that, you're a plebeian. The which means a layperson, uneducated in all your ways. The Mastercard immersive partnership uses decentralized protocols to settle real-time cryptocurrency transactions on outlets accepting Mastercard payments online. Users will be able to use their existing Web3 wallets to make direct crypto payments without relying on third party for collateral.
Yes.
Okay, I see that as a pattern becoming normalized. Um, Also, I hate this, and I'm gonna make that go away. That video was annoying me. It was really bugging me. Users will be able to access the features through popular Web3 wallets and use their private keys to approve payments. Immersive CEO Jerome Fari shared optimism towards crypto use cases, stating, collaborating with a well known and trusted brand like MasterCard is a big step towards mainstream adoption of Web3 wallets. Moreover, Web3 wallets and decentralized finance protocols can integrate into immersive API smart contract to transact anywhere MasterCard is accepted. Over several years, MasterCard has fostered numerous partnerships to stay relevant in the crypto ecosystem. One such initiative was MasterCard's partnership with crypto exchange Binance to launch a prepaid card in Latin America. Hola, Brazil.
Hola.
Shout outs to Brazil.
Yes.
Binance
adopting
card.
Bitcoin.
Oh, they're amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, I clicked on it. Why did I do that? Binance Card has just launched in Brazil, another step towards crypto adoption. The card allows real-time crypto fiat conversions for 14 tokens in Brazil. At the end or at the time of the launch, perks included up to 8% cashback in crypto on eligible purchases and 0 fees on some ATM withdrawals. Okay,
Yes.
I see you.
And the way it works, it's well done because if you have a Binance account, you would separate however many tokens you want, and you move it to a wallet where that's attached to that credit card. So even you know how much you have value that you can actually transact through, and so it's a direct connection to your tokens, so you can purchase real world things. The USDC, which is in line with Gundy's stuff in statement, part of the CBDC enslavement, is USDC is going to gain access to the Fed's treasury, where they will be able to print and gain certain privileges of the US dollar in that token. So the big question is, will they become the CBDC, or are they a precursor to the ultimate CBDC deployment that United States is looking to do? So regrettably, although it's progress, Gundy, it's also, if you look at things as they really are, it makes you wonder, okay, are we moving towards that? I think we are. The big question is what the outcome will be for all of us.
Yeah. And this gets into operational security, right? This is kind of a dirty shovel gang thing. Like, keep in mind that a CBDC being used as a payment method does not mean it's a store of value. Okay.
Right. They can
yeah,
yank it.
Yeah, it's tracked, but if you're ever using a bank account and a debit card and a credit card, it's tracked too. So chill out. I don't think that we're actually adding any changes to like your privacy exposure. So from my perspective, you should have stores of value and things you hold private keys to, and you can have Bitcoin, for example. You could have like many Bitcoin wallets, right? And you could have a little bit of that Bitcoin in all these different wallets, and you can make it so that maybe one of those you're okay with being exposed and integrated in with your centralized exchange or something, and integrated in with your CBDC wallet hypothetically, right? And if that's the case, that's no big deal. All you're doing is you're storing your value in Bitcoin because you believe it'll go up in value over time, and you're able just to pull the part out that you need into whatever centralized coin is required just to pay your bills, what have you.
Right.
That's okay. That's actually a better system than what we're currently doing, because what we're currently doing is you're tying your ACH anyways into your exchange typically to DCA and buy crypto, right? So like
You
I
were
don't know.
already tracked up to that point. So what's the difference
Yeah.
is there? Yeah.
Well, and the centralized exchange has know your customer, and so they
Mhm,
know what private keys are attached to you.
mhm.
I'm sorry, what public addresses are attached to you, and so really, if you want crypto that isn't tracked, you're gonna have to mine it yourself, or you're gonna have to buy it from someone in person, and they're gonna send it directly to a brand new wallet that doesn't have any relations to you specifically. So you see what I'm saying? Like those are the types of things you'd have to do in order to not be tracked. So if you could tell me like what privacy element you're actually concerned about, I'd be interested to hear. But
So, one that I can quickly, back in the day, well, cash, you cannot track every dollar bill currently. CBDCs will allow you to track every single token representing a dollar globally. Uh, they won't necessarily know, and I'm sure they're going to come up with a protocol where if there is no KYC at this wallet, then this token USDC cannot enter or be accepted there. So there is now you can actually track the issuer of the token, the government or the central bank, whoever it's going to be, can now track every single issued token, unlike the cash system where you can't until it shows up in a suitcase with little labels saying I was in Nicaragua, I was in Mongolia. There's no way to know where this dollar bill has been. So that's one big difference. Of course, it's in there as any government, they want to track everything. So
yeah,
what they use it for, that's up to them.
yeah. So you're saying, yeah, they'll be scrambling. So I, I don't think there's a huge operational issue. I don't like them, of course. It'd be better if things were just straight up decentralized. And I think the way we have to approach this is people just need to be involved at the state level. They need to have their local representatives represent this in, uh, in the Senate and in the House, and make sure that we're pushing forward our positions that like Americans don't want to be tracked and all that. And I think that's how we approach it. We have to be peaceful, we have to be organized, we have to be intelligent, and we have to just be clear with what we want to see. And I think with enough pressure and enough people being educated on what's what, you can see that type of change. And like we've personally been researching a lot of legal matters across the states. For example, like Wyoming and Nevada
Mhm.
are really pro crypto, and they're making laws that are super pro crypto.
Yep.
Colorado allows you to pay your taxes this year in crypto.
Yep.
There's just some stuff like that like
Texas
different.
is becoming Bitcoin friendly, and we
Oh
have
yeah.
special economic zones like the Catawba Nation and a few other tribes that are crypto friendly, besides El Salvador, of course.
Speaking of Texas, our last story for the day. El Salvador, which made BTC legal tender, wants to open Bitcoin embassy in Texas.
And they actually signed the contract and everything.
Yeehaw.
Yeah.
Texas is crushing it. Shout out to all my people in Texas, man.
Hell yeah.
Elena Mayorga,
Yep.
ambassador of El Salvador to the United States, wrote about her meeting with Jose Esparza, the deputy secretary of the government of Texas, regarding the potential of opening a Bitcoin embassy in Texas. As you know, on June 5th, 2021, Zap Solutions, a Bitcoin payments startup that uses the Lightning Network, founder CEO Jack Mallers announced at Miami Bitcoin 2021 conference that El Salvador's government wants to pass legislation to make Bitcoin legal tender. And we have covered that story as it evolved tender there.
Yep.
During his talk, an emotional Mallers presented a recorded message from President Bukele. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Bukele, and read out a small passage from the proposed bill. Mullers went on to say that his firm would be opening an innovation center in El Salvador with the help of Blockstream. On June 9, 2021, this proposed bill got passed by the Legislative Assembly with 62 out of 84 voting in favor of it. Wow, that's huge. They really wanted that. Cool. Then on the 25th of June 2021,
Reuters.
Reuters uh, published a report. I just like to say things wrong. Uh, like tomatoes. English people, published a report that El Salvador's president Nayib Bukele had announced during a national address on the 24th of June 2021 that the Bitcoin law would become effective on the 7th of September 2021. Mayorga was named a president, or by President Bukele, ambassador of El Salvador to the U.S. on 23rd of February 2020, and she began her function as ambassador on December 1st, 2020. Before becoming an ambassador, she served as a member of the Legislative Assembly of El Salvador from 18 to 20. On the 28th of October 2022, Mayorga spoke about her country's experiment with the Bitcoin standard at Plan B Forum in Lugano, Switzerland. CoinDesk reported on this that the country of El Salvador and the Swiss city of Lugano have signed a memorandum of understanding aimed at boosting Bitcoin adoption at their own regions, as well as neighboring states and countries. The report mentioned that Ambassador Mayorga also announced this country opening a Bitcoin office in Lugano, staffed with a new honorary council to proselytize the Bitcoin in the city, Italy, and Europe.
Yes,
So,
Lugano is one of those that have adopted also Bitcoin.
No, she's pretty too. Well, last Tuesday, Mayorga said that during her meeting with the Deputy Secretary of Government of Texas, they discussed opening the second Bitcoin embassy and expansion of commercial economic exchange projects. So, gracias.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. So, isn't that cool though that we have states in these United States, and there's other countries like El Salvador.
Yep,
And
Brazil. Also, the banks in Brazil are even issuing training videos on how to use Bitcoin and how to transact in it. It's the adoption is real and it's coming. So it's great seeing world builders like these involved.
So you should get involved in your local politics. That's the answer. Be peaceful, be intelligent, be informed, but let your Congress people know what you think.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you need to be properly represented. The way that this country functions is you have representatives that are elected by you. They're intended to generally represent your position. That's what a republic means. And so we are democratic, we elect, but also a republic, we elect people to generally represent our positions. And so we need to let them know what our positions are so they may be held accountable to represent our positions properly. So if we want to see more crypto and privacy valued and protected, we need to bark about it, right? If we can't just cry about it, that things aren't going our way and the world's not looking like I want it to look, well, did you do anything about it? That's the question. Right. And so like this is a call to you. Please feel empowered. Please feel responsible for this. Guide and shape the world. Build the world in the direction you want to see it go in. Yep. Right? Because we can't just sit back and complain about it. That doesn't fix problems. Crying isn't a solution. I hate to tell you, right? So, I love this community. 100%. Freaking we're moving. We're moving. Quick question from Bradley, and we're wrapping up the show, I promise. Bradley says, I know it's a different topic. How do you guys feel about metals? It seems certain states are taking them as payment. Arizona allows you to pay your taxes with crypto. Yeah. So metals.
So I own metals.
Jaime's got opinions. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I own metals. So I look at anything that can be a store of value. And yes, so I own metals myself. I'm more of a hodler. I don't trade it. So whenever I see good prices, then I'll step in and make a purchase. But I'm not sold any. So it's more of a long-term investment. And if I'm long and gone, so my kids can have it. And no, I don't have tons of it at all either. So, but it is a good method. In the IRS, I do know takes Bitcoin as payments also, to answer the second part of your question or statement, Bradley. Tattoos is the next subject. Is the QR codes. Yes, I've actually seen those tattoos on the strippers. Indo. Good. I'm sure you. I don't remember seeing you in the same place, but yes. And it depends on what body part, what QR code, how much Bitcoin it would cost you to see that. So you'd scan it and then tip her. So or tip him, depends
Kids,
on
or they. You never
or
know.
they.
Yeah. Robot self. Kids these days. So my whole view is that the most valuable form of metal has a barrel and a trigger. So
Yes.
I'm really interested in investing in metals.
Yeah.
You
And
should invest in metals too, especially ones with barrels and triggers.
and Gundy, I agree with you. It has been suppressed. The moment an ETF is released, it gives the market the chance to suppress or inflate, because now you have market makers and other interested parties doing what they believe to be the right thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, invest in metals, right?
the cups, metal cups, are
I
amazing.
kid. No, but really, there's lots of stuff that's metal you should invest in. So,
Precisely.
but Bitcoin's going to the moon. I don't think gold
Hell
is.
yeah. Hell yeah. That's what we're
So,
building.
anyways, thank you for joining us for Crypto and
Thank you.
Coffee. We've had a wonderful morning. I hope the rest of the week is awesome. Please, if you have any questions, a link in the description. If you're not part of our Discord, we answer all the questions in there. So if you have questions or just want to chat and hang out with us, please come hang out. We're constantly building. We love this community. We're serious about it. So please come be part of it even further. Thank you so much. Until next time, keep calm and huddle on. And if there's any exciting news, we'll drop a short. I'm not dropping my shorts though, to be clear.
No, hell no.
Just dropping a YouTube short.
Yeah. With my luck, it's all holy and everything, and not in a good way. Stay calm, huddle on, everyone.